By the way, I don't think I've done an update on the seats. I've got the preliminary painting done. It's just ready for a clear coat now. Yeah, it's just ready for a clear coat now. So, I got both seats done. The interior is close to done. I need to mask off that center console and the rear seats and prepare for flocking. So, this is getting flocked today. So, I'm going to have the bulk of the big parts of the interior done. I still have the center console and the side panels to do. I still have to paint those speakers. I'll be back in a bit. And I'm going to talk while I work. Okay, I'm working on taping off the back seat. Couple of things. Tamiya paint sprays beautifully, but it's fragile. It doesn't take scratching very well, and I got some scratches on this. And I just noticed I'm going to have to repaint the center console because I didn't get it right on one side. So, the scratches are irrelevant. Right now I'm taping it up so I can flock the bottom of this thing because, well, I'm kind of crazy that way and want to get this done so I can work on something else. And I know the flocking is not fragile. It will hold up to different things. Okay, so that's the first part of this video. Second part of this video is, well, model supplies. Okay, I've got some strange opinions of model supplies, I think, and I know some of you won't share these views. But that's okay. That's what makes us all different, and that's what makes watching other people's videos fun, is you guys don't do the same thing I would do. So I can learn things. Okay? Now, a lot of you will notice I'm using Tamiya tape. I've got masking tape, but I'm using Tamiya tape up here on this instead of the masking tape. Okay? And there's a reason for it. I got a bad roll of Tamiya tape here, and the case doesn't stay closed. Easy solution is just to tape it closed, like I did this one. Okay? But there's a reason why I use Tamiya tape. It's good stuff, but it's not cheap. Some of you will go, for the price of this roll of Tamiya tape, or even this roll, which is half the thickness, I can get a big roll of masking tape. Sure, you can. Okay? But the problem with that big roll of masking tape is it will pull the paint up as you pull it off your model. I've tried the cheap alternatives and I quit using them because of that very same reason. Now, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it, so don't get me wrong. I go to the dollar store and I buy stuff at the dollar store on a pretty regular basis for model building. So I don't mind saving the money. What I'm trying to say is I'm not going to save the money at the expense of the finish of my model. Because I am very well aware that if I get something like Krylon, I'm jumping the gun there. I'm very well aware if I get a low-end brand of tape, I am not going to get a good paint job out of it. And I do a lot of taping on models like this thing. Oh, I've spent more time spray painting this model than I did the last 3 I built. Okay? So I am not going to use cheap products anymore. I've just had too many bad experiences with them, and I've decided to shy away from them. Hobby knives. This is an X-Acto knife. I know there's other brands out there that are equally good. I'm not pimping X-Acto over anyone else. No one at X-Acto has contacted me and asked me to do this, and I'm definitely not paid for this. The only person that pays me for model building is YouTube right now. Okay? And I'm going to put a video up about that one very, very soon. As soon as the contest is done. It's on my list of to-do things. But anyhow, getting back to this. I went to Harbor Freight, bought some X-Acto knives, ended up throwing them away. They wouldn't hold the blades. The handles were rough. The lockdowns for the blades just didn't work. All sorts of stuff. And then I went and bought an X-Acto knife set, which cost like $5 more. And I've had little or no trouble with that X-Acto knife set since purchase. In fact, this is a set I bought from my wife. She's not using them, so I am right now. But this set, which comes in almost the exact same box, exact same packaging, okay? This set I got when I was 12. Okay? Not quite the same box, but the inside they look the same. The clasp is a little different. The knives are a little bit different. The older set tends to hold the blades better. I hate to say it. They are aluminum. They're not as finely polished. Here's the old blade. Here's the new one. They're not as finely polished. And they're made out of, the handle's made out of aluminum, but the machine parts are not. I'm just not going to buy cruddy stuff. Now, up next is paints. I had to repaint this body for the third time because of paint interactions and not being careful when I'm cleaning. I'm getting some comments. Why aren't you using Krylon paint? Why aren't you using this? Why aren't you using that? I am using hobby paints almost exclusively for a reason. We don't get weird interactions between the paints. Okay? Ooh, not that way. You're not going to get a weird interaction between the paint. Layers of paint. Again, partially the reason why I'm repainting this is there was a weird interaction on the layer of the paint. It didn't react the way I'd like. It was still soft and sticky 2 days later. It did finally cure up, but I'm attributing that as part of the reason why I had to get rid of it. Although on my test card, and this is another thing, you always test things, on my test card, that's right here. And look how much I'm bending that, and it's not coming off there. So I really don't understand what happened to the model. This feels like a beautiful piece of plastic. It doesn't even feel like paint. Okay? Yet on this, it was flaking and coming off. So, the only thing I could come up with, no primer, that was primered. There was an interaction between the paint and the primer and the top coat. The three of them together were not compatible. No primer on it this time. The primer is the red paint. Well, anyhow, everyone, I'm going to get back to work. Just wanted to tell you, I'm not experimenting with different brands of paint because I don't want weird interactions. I know I've heard more than one case where someone will spray down like a Model Master, and then they'll spray a Krylon top coat, and 2 weeks later it's still not cured. So I'm just not going to mess with that. The only weird paint I will use is Future. That stuff doesn't interact with anything, and it dries. It's tough stuff. It's meant for floors, for people to walk on and to remain in place for a couple of weeks. Probably a couple of months if it's done right. That stuff's just tough. The only problem I've heard with Future is it yellows over time. And I don't need it yellowing, so that's why I'm trying to avoid it. Not only that, it's hard for me to spray a consistent coat of Future. I've done it, okay? This card right here is pretty good proof I've done it. I just don't like it. So this is why I'm sticking to other off brands of paint. I'm going to make another color card when I paint this and use some of the Tamiya Clear and see how that works too. And then I'll polish them both and see which I like. So anyhow, everyone, I'm going to get going. I got a lot to do. And I made 2 rant videos today. Hobby supplies. Don't buy the cheap ones. You're going to regret buying the cheap ones. Okay? It's going to slow you down. Come on. This is like $2.50. A roll of masking tape. Yes, you can get 2 of them for that. But this lasts almost as long as that roll of masking tape. And it's much better stuff. Now, I know you can get the equivalent of this. Andy X, go subscribe to him. You want to be cheap, subscribe to him. Not saying it in a bad way, because he goes and finds the equivalent of this cheap. Okay? So, he's got a couple of tape videos up there where he tells you where to get the stuff that's the same as this for half the price. He's the one to go looking for if you want to be cheap. Okay? Because he's cheap in a good way, not in a bad way. He's cheap in the way we should all be. Frugal. Not wasting your money on stuff you shouldn't waste it on. Alright? I just don't bother to go hunting that stuff down because time is money and I work too much. So I don't want to spend an extra hour trying to find this roll of tape at half the price. I just buy it. All right, everyone. I got to get going. Talk to you later. All right, we're doing another round of polishing. Another test piece. This piece right here, I polished it twice. I apparently polished the entire clear coat off, because after the first round of polishing it wasn't great, but it looked okay. Now look at it. It's horrible. And I noticed during the second round of polishing that it was starting to pull red up. So you got to be careful with this stuff. It does take the coat layers of paint off. And you can see around the edges it's shiny. Just not in the center where I polished it. So, careful with this stuff. You can over polish. I'm going to put another clear coat on top of this in a little while and see how it works. I'll let you guys know. I'll be back. Alright, I started working on detail painting for the dash and took a look. Future is too thick. I can't see any of the details through the future. Okay? It's just obscured everything. I'm throwing it in the vat of alcoholic goodness. That should eat through the future. If it doesn't, I'll get some ammonia. Ammonia will. And I got to be able to see the details to paint this thing. So, I'm going to hit it. Now remember, I damaged those speakers earlier, so I can't do too much with them. Okay? And this part right here has quite a bit of future in it, but it looks like it's okay. So I'm going to leave this part alone. I'm going to go ahead and do some detail painting on it. I'll be back in a little bit. Just wanted to show you guys that. Alright, now, here's why I like using alcohol in Tamiya paint. This is a minute and a half later. All the paint's gone. It's down to primer. Lacquer or enamel-based primer, that alcohol will hurt it, but it takes a while. If you just put it in there real briefly, it won't damage it. Okay? And here's another part. This soaked overnight. I got rid of all that red. You guys saw that earlier. Since that worked so well, I don't like part of what I see on this part. It's going in the big alcohol stripping solution so that I can get it cleaned up the way I like it. Repaint. I don't mind repainting because to me, paints cure up pretty quickly. I mean, within an hour, I can put a clear coat over it and start detail painting. I'm not going to future coat this time because I don't like the future coat that comes out. I just really don't. It comes out too thick. Okay? I did it for a reason, and, well, I don't like the end result, so I'm going to go clear this part and start over with it, too. Alright, everyone. We have two people who I hired to help me. Dallin and Jared. Okay, they helped me. They put this together for me. I didn't know if it was complete or not. I'd built it a long time ago. And, well, it's complete. Every little piece of this thing is here. All 3,100 of them. Was it fun?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Had a great time.
You want to do more?
Yes.
Okay, I'll give you more like those to do.
Okay.
All right. Just to verify that they're complete. I'm going to do better video in a minute. I'm going to go ahead and get these guys out of here and on their way. I'll be back in a minute.